Space travel and its effects on climate change. Space travel is harming the environment. It is as simple as that. Will rockets and satellites come back from space with information about our universe? That information is coming at a cost. Whether it is space debris floating around Earth from a past space mission, or damage to the atmosphere from shuttle emissions, space travel is causing damage to the world that we live in. Today I will be talking about the disadvantages to space travel. But first, what is space travel? What is climate change? And how is space travel affecting and ultimately contributing to climate change? These questions and more will be answered through my TED Talk. I'll give 2 examples of how space travel is affecting climate change and some ways to improve space travel. Hopefully, I will convince you that modern space travel is not the answer for the information that we hope to learn. What is space travel? Space travel is the exploration of space to gain knowledge about the universe. Ever since the days of Galileo, the mysteries of space have eluded mankind. What was out there? Was there another Earth? Finally, technology was invented that allowed some of these mysteries to be answered. What do we gain? I cannot lie. Space travel is an effective way of gaining information about our universe. We get advanced technology through the research conducted in preparation for space missions. Did you know that things like water filters or scratch-resistant glasses were invented by NASA? You may be using inventions originally meant for astronauts in your everyday life without even knowing it. We gain other things from space missions too. It was through cameras on telescopes like the Hubble telescope that we have pictures of faraway stars or galaxies. It is through rovers that we've collected samples from faraway planets, and because of the ISS, or the International Space Station, that we are capable of conducting experiments on these samples in space. However, there is only so much mankind can do before it comes back to haunt us. So while space travel may be effective in gaining information, it's not the green option. What is climate change? Climate change is a significant change in weather patterns over a period of time. Climate change can be caused by oceanic processes, plate tectonics, or things like human-induced alterations to the world. A type of climate change familiar to us is global warming, the rising average temperature of Earth's atmosphere and oceans. This warming can have massive repercussions on society, like the melting of glaciers. If all the ice melts due to a warming world, ocean levels would rise and low-lying cities would be buried underwater. If greenhouse gases increase and cause more damage to the Earth's atmosphere, we would also no longer have protection from the sun's harmful rays. The heating up of Earth can be harmful to everything, plants, animals, and humans alike. The effects. Space debris is objects created by humans orbiting around Earth that no longer have a purpose. This debris can consist of anything from spent rocket stages to old satellites and collision pieces. The largest problem with space debris is that its orbital pattern can overlap with newer objects being sent into space, and the debris can have potential collisions with these newer objects. Most debris in space is made up of small particles, smaller than 1 centimeter in size. And what amount of damage can particles that small do? However, when these small particles collide with objects in space, it can cause an effect similar to sandblasting. Sandblasting is when an abrasive material is forcibly propelled under high pressure against another material. Sandblasting, and these particles floating in space, can have an erosive effect on materials. For example, solar panels and telescopes in space are exposed and therefore open to constant wear by this debris. This wear is very damaging, and these parts have to be maintained often to fix their problems. Small space debris is not the only problem. A much smaller percent of the total debris is in larger pieces, and these pieces pose a collision risk for spacecraft. Should a piece of debris larger than 10 centimeters collide with a spacecraft, the resulting fragments would be a mere 1 kilogram in mass. This would kickstart a chain reaction and eventually reduce everything in space to debris. Atmospheric damage. Another environmental downside is rocket emissions. Much like how emissions from cars affect global warming in the atmosphere, so do rocket emissions. When a full fuel rocket launches, it releases chlorine gas into the atmosphere. This chlorine reacts with oxygen and forms chlorine oxides, which are very damaging to the ozone layer. As Darren Tooby of the University of Colorado at Boulder states, this isn't urgent now, but if we wait 30 years, it will be. However, there's a major difference between rockets and cars. besides the fact that one is a space vehicle and one is built solely for Earth. Car emissions only reach the lower part of the atmosphere, and particles can be washed away by rain. However, much of rocket emissions pollute the stratosphere, which doesn't get any rain. This results in the particles remaining there and polluting the stratosphere for years. The problem will only increase as the space tourism industry increases. Soot in the atmosphere from only 1 decade of commercial space flights would be equal to all emissions from global airfare today. To put it into an easier to understand idea, emissions from 1,000 rocket launches would increase Earth's surface by as much as 1 degree, or reduce sea ice by 5 to 15%. Without change, this problem can only get worse. Stopping space travel seems unlikely. I mean, even though carbon emissions from cars are also harming the environment, people haven't stopped driving. Space travel is the same thing. While it may be harming the environment, it is believed that the information gained is worth it. So the best thing would be to change current space travel to make it better for the environment. The first step is already happening. Scientists are working towards technologies that will clear space debris. There are many ideas, from space lasers, which will push satellites and debris into decaying orbits, or collector satellites that would collect debris in large nets and bring it back to Earth's atmosphere. Another possible solution is finding a more environmental fuel for rockets. In August 2009, NASA and the Air Force Office of Scientific Research successfully launched a 9-foot rocket 1,300 feet into the air, made up of nothing more than aluminum powder and water ice. This fuel, called Alice, has a high burn rate and reached maximum thrust of 650 pounds during this test run. Researchers believe that Alice has the possibility of replacing some different propellants in both space missions and on Earth, and could become a new environmental source of fuel. Finally, the information gained from space travel is not worth the damage it causes. However, because space travel is not going to stop, scientists must find a way to change. This way we can still gather the information we want without harming the environment. However, if we do not find a way to change, and if space travel becomes a bigger industry, we may no longer have the very universe and world that we are trying to learn more about. I hope I was able to convince you about the changes needed to be made to space travel. Thank you.